All right, welcome to Hyper Local.
Yeah.
We finally decided a name for the podcast. We are the Aloha of Jiu-Jitsu. I'm Gary. We got Alika here, and my coach, Mike Fowler.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on this. Thanks for doing this.
Raise him up a little, tell him about like all his accomplishments in life and third fastest black belt, American black belt?
At the time, yep.
At the time? Okay, maybe now there's like
I feel like, yeah, there's
cheaters.
probably, the numbers are probably all switched up, but at the time, yeah, there was BJ Penn, my coach, Lloyd Irvin, and then I did it right after.
Oh, wow.
So he got to black belt really fast because he's really good.
Yeah.
He medaled at Pans, black belt Pans.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Almost medaled at ADCC. They don't give a fourth place.
No, I took
place
fourth at ADCC, 2 times was invited. Pans is a black, silver lost to Andre, and then there was a couple national championships in there.
Okay, American Nationals, and you won the Asia Open a couple times, I believe.
Yeah, Asian Open, I think I won like maybe 4 times.
Grappler's Quest when it mattered.
Yeah, I don't really count the Grappler's Quest.
But the guy with Naga Worlds, you win Naga Worlds, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, but ADCC is probably the pinnacle. That was probably the best performance and whatnot.
How do you get invited to ADCC?
I don't know, because I felt like I got a last minute invite because they ran out of people. I was in Guam at the time, and I was sitting at a bar. It was 1 a.m, and this is I'd probably only been out on my own now, maybe like 2 years, as far as like, not out on my own, I'd already moved out and stayed at Lloyd's, but just not having like any real like set thing in life. I was just living.
And you were at Purebred with
I was at,
Purebred,
over there. And then Lloyd called and he's like, what are you doing right now? And I'm like, I'm at a bar. And he's like, do you want to go to ADCC? I'm like, it's on Thursday night, and this is in Guam, so they're a day ahead. And so I'm like, you mean in 2 days, like in New York, like that ADCC? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, you sure they don't want like Mike Easton or somebody? Like, I'm not there. Like, I really didn't really care. It wasn't like, oh, I didn't jump at the chance. I wasn't like, oh yeah. I was just like, seems weird, because I did the trials and I took second.
Okay.
But they took Mark Vocek, who won.
Okay.
And then they also took Drew Fickett out of my division, which I felt was garbage because he got booted, like he lost like first or second round, but because he was fighting UFC, they put him in.
They want the
and so I was like already a little salty that as I finished second, I'm not going to get it, you're going to invite a no one and a first, but I get it because he's in UFC, so whatever.
The name recognition matters. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was just like, whatever. And so I didn't really care about doing it, and then he's like, I'll call you back. And so he called me right back, and he was like, all right, listen. You got a ticket. You're gonna fly out at 4 a.m. You'll get to New York in time for the weigh-ins.
Oh God!
And then you'll compete the next day on Saturday. So I literally that night I left the bar. I went to a ramen shop to just like kind of like get myself together, sober up. Went and packed my bags, and I think I tried to take like I don't even know if I took a nap, but I just kind of got to the airport. Showed up to, which when they say New York, it was quite a lie. It was Trenton, New Jersey. I don't know who dropped the ball.
You can see New York.
I don't know if Mo was in control at that point yet or who was in it, but Trenton, New Jersey, what? It was like, they even advised us when we got there, like, don't go outside, it's not safe.
Oh, jeez.
You should stay in the hotel. And so I was like, ugh. And so got there, and then I weighed in. And when I weighed in, I was just happened to be right on weight. It was like no issue. I was like, all right.
I just went
and
what
so,
we're doing.
Yeah, and then as I'm leaving to go eat, I guess there really was like only one spot, and everybody was kind of going there because it was close, and everybody, you could eat and just be done. And so on my way out, I saw Henzo running to lose weight still, and it's like, oh, as a wrestler, oh, I know that look. You know what I mean? Like you're not on weight, and so. I went, and I remember I was sitting by myself, and this group of guys was like, hey, why don't you come eat with us? There was a whole bunch of competitors in there, but I was like, yeah, shoot. And as I go to sit down with them, I had, like, everyone's got, they're all being very health conscious. There's salads, there's baked chicken, there's all these, and I come over with lasagna and chocolate milk, and they're just like, whoa.
You're going to weigh in tomorrow?
In my mind, I already weighed in, but it's in my mind, it's like, I wasn't eating great to begin with. Don't start now, because either way, you'll shock your body. And so it's like, nope. Lasagna and chocolate milk.
Should have finished off with the beer.
No, I never drank alcohol, so it wasn't a thing. But get back, and And when I get back, I don't see Henzo anymore, but I heard he made weight. And one of the coordinators is like, do you want to know your lineup for tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, that's awesome. So he's like, you got Henzo first. And it's like, oh, well, thank you for the invite.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, it's nice to be here. And then, like, if you beat Henzo, you got Salo most likely. And then they're like, and if you get past Salo on day 2, you're going to have Marcelo. Like, that's just the way it's lining up. And so it's like, oh. So at that point, it's like, I don't, it's not like there's like it's not a self-esteem thing. It's not like I don't have any belief in myself. It wasn't like, oh, here it goes. It was just kind of like, oh, fuck. Like, there's nothing I can do.
When
it's either win or lose.
It's like one name, and you know who they are. They're probably pretty good, right?
What do you mean?
Like, if I say Henzo, we know it's Henzo.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, but I'm already in my mind. It's like, I'm just kind of happy to be here at this point because now I don't have any real, like I never had a desire to go to ADCC. I never had a desire to be a champion of ADCC. I'll do my best whenever I'm in the position, but it was just never, like, competition got I would say the oomph of competition got robbed from me back in like 2005 when I got slammed in Brazil.
That was the armbar one.
Yeah. And when that happened, it didn't make me love jiu-jitsu any less, but it did make me know, it reminded me that there's way more than competition. And it doesn't matter how prepared you are. You can be in the best shape, but you can't stop the referee from cheating. You can't stop the other guy from cheating. So there's things that are still out of your control. And by how bad, like how blatant it was like, oh, like it's not a fair. It's never going to be fair.
That was a big deal.
So,
that year.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to have, and I didn't like want to stop competing. But it did make me open up my eyes to like jiu-jitsu being something else as far as like it was more than just competition. So for me, after that, it became a sense of a way of life, of travel, of meeting people, of, sharing the art. It opened up so many doors to meet so many people and do all kinds of things. It's, it's allowed me to live my life and everything. But anyway, going back to ADCC. So then get up the next day, and my roommate for that ADCC was actually Chris Weidman.
Oh, wow, okay, okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then, was he might have been, I'm sorry, Chris Weidman was 2009 maybe, my
That's
roommate.
the one he fought Galval that
Yeah,
year.
it was okay, that was 2009.
Yeah,
So 2007, who was my roommate? Because they give you a roommate. And I remember it was Ryan Hall at first, and then Lloyd switched Ryan Hall out because he didn't like Ryan, and I had to pretend to not like Ryan, even though I hung out with Ryan while Lloyd was away. And then, who was my roommate in 07? I don't even remember.
Ryan Hall's replacement.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember just feeling like such not belonging there because everyone had these name tags and everything made for them, and I had like a Sharpie, like misspelled, like here's your fucking pass. And so, fought Henzo. I just kept threatening the omoplata, the triangle, omoplata, triangle, omoplata, triangle, back and forth, like probably 3 or 4 times. Enough to where, like, I mean, if you're going to watch from the outside, of course I won. But in my mind, it's Henzo. I didn't win. And so I remember when they gave me the nod as the win, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I was happy to move on. It had nothing to do with, I would never say I beat Henzo. I mean, as far as like, yes, I did beat him on paper, but as far as like, I know he was tired. I know he was cutting weight. That wasn't the true Henzo. And, and it's like, I didn't have any, like, I didn't change I wasn't like, oh my God. It was just like, oh, that's cool. I got to move on. I'm glad they saw me as the winner, but I didn't feel like I beat anything. It was 0-0. But then when I fought Salo next, and which was, I guess you give backstory on Salo, he had just moved to San Diego. I had just left San Diego and brought him like 20 students because when I was leaving, I didn't want my students to just be left to the wind. So I was like, hey, we're going to find a new home. And so went to Salo's and Shanji's. They just opened up the university. And so I trained there for a couple weeks, got the students all acclimated. I mean, to the point where even we'd bow in for class and Shanji would be like, do you want to teach? Like, it's all your guys, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, dude, we're here for you. And so, so then when I fought Salo, and he would beat the dog shit out of me. Like, it was not like it felt like you're rolling with your dad. The moment he didn't want to roll with you, you just end it. And like, he's giving your point, like, oh, good, it's like, I never felt like I did anything with him. But when we fought, he took my back in like 30 seconds. I popped my knee, and I have a picture. You can see where my knee is like funky, position. Put me in a rear naked, and then as we're defending and as we're, or as I'm defending and as we're fighting, we get to the point where, when someone squeezes and you feel that give, and just the energy started building up, like, oh yeah. And as soon as he squeezed again and that arm gave out, I just ripped his arms off, turned around, started passing the guard, opened his legs, got out, and then he went for a toe hold. I went for a toe hold, nothing and nothing. And then I went for the second foot. I grabbed the opposite foot, the one I didn't even have control of, and his foot just crumbled right in my hand. And I was just like, ugh. And so that one was cool. That one I had the feeling like, oh shit, I just beat Salo. Because I did. I submitted you. And so I felt that one I had like the, oh my gosh. And so, then I guess in essence, I was like the talk of the day that day, because I was just out of nowhere all of a sudden in the semis with Marcelo. And then with Marcelo, I was doing good. I actually swept him and got on top. But then he got to that damn guillotine from the mount. And then even though I escaped the mount, I think there was like 2 seconds left, and fuck! And so it was good. And that's my second time fighting Marcelo. I actually fought him in Texas beforehand. And since you wanted stories, I'll give you that one too. I was supposed to fly to Austin, Texas, or to fly into, fly into Houston. And I had landed, I don't remember where I had landed at, but the flight said direct. And it was like San Diego, at the time I was in San Diego, but it was like San Diego, and then it landed in Texas, and in my mind when I read the ticket, it was a straight flight. And it was, but there's one of those ones where they stop, let people off, and then they go off again. And so I have a habit of just crashing out. And so as soon as the plane took off, plane lands, I just walk off the plane. I call Ryan Hall, who's already there, and I'm like, Ryan's telling me where to go. He's like, yeah, go down this way, turn left. There's like the directory, call that. And he's like, when you're going to the hotel, you'll see this like kind of a rundown bar next to it, and blah blah blah. And it's the Marriott. And I'm like, okay. And I get in the airport. Everything is like he said. Everything's where it's supposed to be. Like, call the directory, everything, even go to the hotel, Courtyard Marriott, which was weird because I thought, he said Marriott, but whatever. And there's the same little shitty like bar next to it. And then I go up to the room and no answer. And so I call Ryan. I'm like, Ryan, I'm at your door. And he's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm knocking on 401 right now. And he's like, I'm standing in the doorway. And I'm like, what hotel are you at, dude? He's like, I'm at the Marriott. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm at Courtyard Marriott. He's like, no, I'm at regular Marriott. And so I go down to the lobby and I'm like, hey, where's the Marriott? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, isn't there a Marriott nearby? They're like, no. And the lady's like, what's the phone number? And as I'm reciting the phone number, I hear a lady in the back go, that's Houston. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, she's like, I'm like, where am I? And I don't know if she said Austin. I don't know where I landed, but she was like, so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, how many hours drive is that? She's like, 5. And I was like, oh. So I got back on the shuttle. Luckily it was just about leave. So I made it back, but the shuttle didn't get back to the airport. The plane had already taken off. So I slept at the airport, got up at 5 a.m. to meet so I could get on the flight. Oh my. I get to the spot I'm supposed to go, get to the hotel to meet Ryan. Ryan's, of course, all well-rested, waiting at the buffet for me. I just try to eat a little food because that's like all I got left. And, I can do. Get to the tournament to fight frickin' Marcelo, and I'm just so dead. He just beats the dog shit out of me. I think he armbarred me. But I just remember being like, I'm so bummed. Because it was just such a bad representation of myself, all because I don't know how to travel. And, so that was the second time I fought Marcelo, first time, and then second time ADCC. And then for the consolation finals, for third and fourth with me and Galvão, I had previously fought Galvão as well. We fought in the finals of Pan Am's, and I remember I came up watching. Yeah. And we've come up at the same weight the whole time, but I just was always like a little behind him. Like he was always just, and so I win my first 2 matches, and I'm outside eating acai, just, kind of fucking around. And then I hear that old announcer, Tony Torres, I'm like, you're about to be DQ'd. And it's like, what? And I ran back inside, like, what's going on? Why am I? And they're like, you're in the finals. It's up right now. I'm like, oh, for real? I didn't know I was in the finals. I used to never look at brackets or anything. I would just fight until they were done. You know what I mean? I get too nervous.
We thought we were done for the day.
Yeah. And so I didn't think I was done for the day. I just didn't think I was going to get called again that fast. And I'm like, who do I have? And they're like, him. And it's Andre just bouncing up and down on the mat. And I'm like, oh, shit. I was so nervous, and so I instantly like started throwing up in my mouth, like trying to like keep it together. And yeah, I just didn't have anything for him. He submitted me. I made the cover of the DVD, getting neon bellied, but it was yeah. I was definitely just in too big a shock. But then we fought at ADCC. I did much better. I'd throw him in a triangle. We were back and forth. He won by points on that one, but it was much more even. And then, but yeah, I would say that was the pinnacle. That was the best I ever got to do as far as on the main stage. I after that World Championships that I got robbed, I don't think I entered the World Championships again and since it's moved to LA, I've probably done it twice.
Wow.
So it's like after that, it was just like, yeah, it's a scam. It's all money making. I mean, granted, it's a title, but the title doesn't change me, doesn't change my students, doesn't change it. My name was made through other means of not World Championship medals. And to be honest, half the time when I even half my students still think I'm a world champion. And I'm like, I'm not a world champion, but they're just assuming. They never saw him. Yeah, they're just gonna, and that's like, and I'm like, does anybody care? They're like, no.
Well,
Exactly.
everybody in the jiu-jitsu sphere worldwide, whenever they say Mike Fowler, they always say Mike Fowler, OG Mike Fowler, right?
I get that, which is weird.
Yeah, right.
To me, it is.
Not professor, not sensei. It's always the OG.
Yeah.
American OG Mike Fowler. Yeah.
I think it was just, I tell my wife this too, it's like, we'll talk about like people coming up now, and now, my title, I feel like third fastest American sounds good until you say the 3.5 years. Then there's also a handful of people. So, you know what I mean? That now it's much more accessible. People can do it a little bit easier. I tell her, I don't doubt that I would have been good now had I just been, in this generation, but I don't think it would have been the same as it was back then, just because of, it was me, Glover, and Lovato. And then, and before us, like Mark Lehman, John Lewis, it's very little. And then even before them, it's like the Dirty Dozen, the original black belts. And so, and none of them, but I mean, not none of them, I should take that back. But I would say, the jiu-jitsu scene wasn't grown for them to make a name like that, like Jeff Ian could. John made it through MMA and promoting, he had a good crew, so like they all were, everyone's making a name, but it was just like, because there wasn't as many people to focus on, you could, easier to tell who's who you got ready for, it wasn't like, I remember my Pan Ams at Blue Belt when I won like gold, I had like 72 guys or something like that in my division, and that was crazy how many people. Now that's like, dude, that's small.
Yeah. Hundreds
Yeah,
now.
that's now. Yeah. Like, dude, that's only half the bracket now.
The
And
blue belt
so,
brackets are crazy now.
so it's definitely grown. So I just feel like I came up at a great time to make my name, make my mark, and then thank goodness now I feel the only reason I still am able, besides my gym, but having the ability to still kind of do seminars and things is like most of the guys who watched me come up are all the ones who own gyms now.
Yeah.
And so, the students don't know who I was, but they do. And so that's kind of cool. I enjoy, I enjoy the place it gave me in jiu-jitsu. I got to fight all the old school guys. I fought Megaton, I fought Henzo, I fought Keith Florian, I had fought Jeff, I had fought...
You fight Cobrinha once?
I fought Cobrinha.
Yeah.
I fought, I got to go through, I would say, some of the guys I was naming, like the older, I fought Salo. I got to fight the old generation of champions, but then I was still new enough to fight. I fought Hinger, I fought Keenan, I fought Calasanz, I fought, Gregor, I got to fight all the new guys as well. So it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Marcelo, Andre. And so it's like I've gotten the best of, I would say, I was in a good spot. Only a few of us were in that spot. Jeff Glover is in that spot. Lovato's in that spot. Lovato probably did the best out of all of us, of course, with just jiu-jitsu, MMA, his whole career.
He stayed competing in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, no, he's never lightened up. I mean, and especially to go through, I think what he had going on with his brain or something like that too. And so he had all kind of things going on. So it's awesome to see what he's doing. And so, but it's like, there's not too many of us at our age in that window that can ride that. If you think about it, Lovato's the only one of us who did it. And then, Jeff has been able to think of like the way Jeff lives like a van life. And most people would not be able to survive away. But Jeff, because of who he is in jiu-jitsu, it's like, man, he's always going to have a helping hand. And it's like, that's awesome. You know, he made his mark. There's, you know, so it's kind of, I feel like we were in a special place where, you know, now it's a little too saturated. It's a little, you know, it's not that you can't do it, just not as easy. You know,
Jeff had such a cool, like, he understood how to promote himself, and he was such a showman. His grappling was so exciting. Like, I remember it was probably like 2012, 2013, he had a match with Kyotera. And it was like, I want to say it was Worlds or Pans or something. He stands up in front of everyone right before the finals are about to start and just starts calling Kyotera out. And it was like, this is hilarious, and it was funny. It wasn't like he was doing it in a mean way, but it was funny. I was like, yeah, I want to watch this guy. Like, he was so good at just, like, it didn't matter win, lose, whatever. You wanted to watch Jeff Glover. Like, he was just a great showman.
Yeah, no, that's just Jeff's personality. He's, you know, that's him. I'll say there's no marketing. That's just he's funny. He's a good time.
I've never got to train with him, but he looks like he'd be a good time.
Yeah, we've fought and trained with each other since purple belts. It was back since like 2004.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. So obviously, I mean, so where the team you came from, your training, etc. It was a homegrown American team. Would you say that?
Oh yeah, with Lloyd's, yeah. Lloyd would. He was very good at recognizing where we would lack. Like, if there's something that he couldn't show himself, he'd bring somebody in who could, and he's going to bring the best in. And so Lloyd was, but it was also, again, even at the time I came up, it was different. There was a jiu-jitsu squad. There was definitely a team of us, but there was only me that was going consistently out all the time, because I'm the only one who put myself in that position. Everyone else had regular jobs and other things or things would take them away that, you know, whatever, they valued that more at the moment. And so there was a sense of a team too, but there was like a big sense of by myself, like to the point where Lloyd didn't show up to half the competitions. He wasn't
Oh, wow.
Even he couldn't travel as much as I was traveling. Like, I would literally be gone every other weekend to go to a competition. I'd leave Friday night, compete Saturday, leave Sunday, back before Monday, back to teaching. And so like there was even one of the other I remember Roddy Ferguson, who's an Olympian black belt, and I mean he was like, you know, you can't do that forever. You got to slow that down. And because I would just be going hard, like it was just nonstop. So I mean, but at the time I feel like I was in a place I could do it. You know, it wasn't permanent, it wasn't, but you know, young enough to bounce back and not any, you know, no, I'm strike while it's hot. You know, there wasn't that many competitions before. Now the competitions are flooded. So I would go to any competition that was around available. Like, you know, I remember my purple belt year, I remember I did like 20 something competitions in 1 year. And it's like, back then, that's like an ungodly amount because I had to fly to different countries to make all that work. And now you can do that within a couple months, just staying in one state.
Yeah, in one state, yeah, in the right state.
Just, you know, yeah, just if you're in one of those meccas, you would just, you know, go to Austin. I'm sure you're getting a fucking tournament even Japan has tournaments every other weekend.
That new circuit they have, it's not an IBJJ.
Oh, the Sport Jiu-Jitsu Federation?
Yeah. Man, they're having tournaments everywhere. They've moved into China.
They've got a world championship this year in Chiba is one they're going to do. So
that's cool.
They might bring some guys there.
Yeah.
So what do you think, how come Hawaii doesn't have the same, like we don't have the JT Torres, we don't have
I don't think you can do it here.
You don't think you can do it here?
I think too far away from access to the high level tournaments at a consistent level. It's like anyone from Hawaii, I mean, you can always have the outliers. You get your Max Holloways, but Max did not stay here to become a champion. He left. He did a lot of camps other places, and I feel like if you want that kind of success, you're not going to get it in Hawaii. Not unless you have the kind of money to bring all of these people in, but I feel like we're too far away, we're too secluded, we have too much as it is, so it's very easy to get distracted whenever there's not a lot else going on. So I feel like if you don't get out of this bubble, like even myself, like when I'm real with myself, I went to the World Championships the other day, and come here, dude. I went to the World Championships the other day, a couple years ago. Sit down, Bubby. Boy, sit. Thank you.
Need some camera time.
He had to come in. He's like, all the boys are over here. Hey,
I like it.
go off the mat. Thank you. Go on. Hey.
Maybe.
You are so
he's like,
funny.
no, I want to play.
Oh, sit down then. Sit.
Cuddle time.
There we go. All right, what was I saying?
Building the world champions in Hawaii. You were at the world.
Oh
Championships.
yeah. So when I went to the world championships out there, I won my first 2 matches. Like, dude, I could have had a full conversation going. Those dudes had nothing for me. And then when I fought the third guy, the speed at which he was moving was like, oh, I haven't fought anybody like this in a minute. And so I didn't feel outclassed. I didn't feel outmatched. I have not prepared myself. No, had I left or had I brought someone in who was going to move at that kind of speed, and it's like, I probably could have found that in Hawaii, but I don't care. So it wasn't like I was like, of course I want to win. I don't care that much to change my daily, to that extent. And so, but I mean, it wasn't like, I lost and felt bad about myself. Like, no, you know what that's from? You lost because you don't compete enough. And it's like, and you shouldn't be that guy. He deserved it because that dude's, guarantee you, he's competing and training to win. And so it's like, hats off, dude, you should get it. And so I know if I want those kind of results, I'm going to have to switch my lifestyle back up. But then that just comes back to like, what kind of life do I was like, I don't need another medal. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help me. It doesn't make any, nothing in my life changes. Except I do notice when I start gearing up for competition, the rest of my life does suffer somehow. Something doesn't get attention. So it's like, it's like, dude, I don't need my classes to suffer for any reason. Even if it's just me not being present a couple days, it doesn't do me any good. Like, I could stay here and have a much better life overall. So I have the desire to compete. I love it. I want to still, but it only presses on me hard enough to make me think about it, not enough to actually act upon it, and so it's like, I'll do them when they come along, but it's like, I'm real about my expectations with the results. I could totally win, but if someone is there who's been really putting in the time, I respect that. And it's like, Jeff, you're the better guy today. And I don't really care. But the thing is, I do care. That's why I don't like putting myself in that position, and it will bother me. So it's like, don't even open that can of worms, because you're just going to go, And so it's like, in the big picture, I don't care. In that moment, I'm ready. Let's fight again right now. I want to. And so, so it just depends on where I'm at. Like, I did a competition right after I had knee surgery, and I won, only had 1 match, but homeboy fell into my game perfectly. We were done in 2 minutes. Whew, thank God. Because I don't know if my knee could have handled you going nuts or doing anything else, but thank God you fell into my game, and then I got it. It does, and I feel like I have a better chance of it just because of the amount of competition, my style, whatnot. Again, it's like, you put yourself, like, I'm not going to enter the world championships again unless I'm going to go for a real reason. You know what I mean? It'd be different, like, let's say it's just the whole team wants to go, I'm just, all right, cool. But it's just, I just don't have that oomph to switch up my whole lifestyle, which, like I said, if you want to be from Hawaii and do something, that's, you'll get far, and you can totally get far, but you're going to have to leave. There's no different. Look at even the kids, they get good at wrestling. They don't stay here to wrestle for Hawaii. They go to the mainland and get like some other work in, because that's where the competitions are. That's where the rest of the wrestlers are, And so you can, like, you always have your outliers exist, but that's, that's more reason for the rule, not, I'm not going to base it upon them.
Do you think Hawaii could ever get there, or is it just the geographical challenge?
I think it's just a challenge between the amount it costs to survive here. It's like, you can have people have camps and things, but it's like, I would say Hawaii is a competitive place as far as mindset, competition wise, and things like that. Yeah. But it's so expensive to be here. Even if you want to leave to get off island to get better, it's a little bit of a challenge, So that's why we're taking advantage of trying to go to Japan now, because it's just cheaper to be there, cheaper to stay. Yep. The competition level is still high without being unreasonably high. Like, you're not going to Brazil and entering the Brasileiros and just fingers crossed. It's like, at least you're gonna have some hammers. You're gonna have some guys who shouldn't be there, and I'm happy to be in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually really impressed when we went to the Asia Open several years ago about how technical and how good the the majority.
It's a different approach. They have a different style of doing jujitsu. So I like it just because at first it was very like puzzling and I want to figure it out. And now I kind of understand. I don't know what they do still. I mean, as far as like the way but it's like, okay, I get it. You know,
it's like the Japanese style of jujitsu. It's very unique to Japan.
Yeah, it's just, I would say like America is very top oriented because I feel like the wrestling background that we all have, and Japan is very tricky with being underneath, and it's like, you know what I mean? I feel like we're used to having a good control on top, and now you lose that with the and then it's like their top game isn't any less dangerous or anything, but it's just like, that's not the part that I'm worried about. I'm worried about your bottom game, because you're doing some stuff I'm not too, like you're too comfortable in places that I'm not. And I found like my first trips, I felt like the Japanese guys would sweep me and somehow manipulate the game to get back underneath of you without losing points and sweep you again. And it's like, dude, you're frustrating the daylights out of me because I know you just tricked me. And so I can appreciate that the different look at it.
It's a different style. I think that's the only place I can think of off the top of my head that has its own unique style of grappling. My theory is there were good grapplers out there that then got into jiu-jitsu and implemented what they were good at, you know, like a catch wrestler or judo guy or whatever. Like everywhere else I go, and I travel all over the world, like everywhere else they kind of grapple the same. We have the same, you know, like Korea has good black belts, but they all kind of like the Western world, and everywhere else, you know, I've been to Europe. Europe's just like America, like they have the same style. Japan is its own like form of like what they do, their strategies. And then you're like, I've never seen this, and like everyone there does it. It's so cool to see.
I think it's something culturally as well. Just even with the way the language is set up. I mean, it's not, you know, not to sound racist, but like why they're good at the math. It's just everything's very systematic. The way their brain is designed to work is just, I feel like more, you know, for these type of effects, and like just I would say outwardly with what they can do, it's pretty neat. It's just, and I think it has a lot to do with just language structure, because they think a different way, obviously, because of just, and so I have, you know, I'll ask friends, like especially the Brazilians, like, when you think, do you think in English or Portuguese? You know, but English and Portuguese are both like Latin derived languages, so it's like we still have the same brain, even though Brazilians are better at jiu-jitsu overall. I feel like that's a time in thing. It's again culturally we don't have that kind of passion in our normal day-to-day culture, where, you know, like I would say Brazil is very passionate. They're gonna, you know, that's why they found a fighting art that gave them an edge, and they were already fighting. Now someone, you know, they got a bigger edge. So I feel like, you know, culturally changes how they look at things. That's why, you know, look at even Sambo as a Russian martial art. It's very it's a lot of devastating, quick, short moves. All leg lock breaks, bam. All, you know what I mean? Even the arm bar that we do, the way you turn over, it's like a quick. It's not meant to give them time to tap. And so, like, I feel like, you know, depending on where you're from, it greatly changes your approach into jiu-jitsu. And then everybody's got their thing.
So I train a lot in Japan. I like they have a more judoist approach to how they drill the moves. They break it down to like really small segments, and then they just kind of.
I don't think I've ever sat in on a class because I've always been the one teaching.
I don't have the luxury. I'm not that good. But I like when they train. They'll break it down to these small segments and train it like that. I feel like a lot of the good gyms are doing that in some capacity. But Japan, as a culture, I think they're just like, oh, this is how you train, right? Like the judo, they just load, I don't know, 20 times before they hit one throw.
Right. Yeah. No, that is good.
They're doing that in jiu-jitsu. They're just starting the off balance. They're not even finishing the.
Because there's centuries of judo, like formal training. That's like, and there's nothing wrong with that, dude. And that's what Lloyd did. Lloyd just pretty much took what Roddy Ferguson was doing for the Olympic training team, like the drills and whatnot, and just inserted jiu-jitsu drills rather than the judo ones. And so it had it was a lot of that. It's a lot of like multiple repetitions in a position and then a final finish. That way you're not waiting, you know what I mean? It's like that part requires its own drilling. This part requires its own drilling. You do them together, you're probably going to get lost. And so, yeah, we had a lot of, it's exactly the way we drill. Like there'd be one small part that we'd hit hundreds of times, because I can hit 100 of them in like 5 minutes in this one little zone. And then I'll work on the other pieces of it and just, it's.
I think when we look at sports and physical activities, that really is like how you get good, because you just get so many reps in such a short period of time. I wish we would implement it a little more in jiu-jitsu and grappling, like get those short drills and those little, I don't know, micro movements or whatever you call them. Because it seems like there's a bigger payoff. I mean, get a black belt in 3.5 years, must have been doing something right.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what the person wants to. Because not everyone's there to, in essence, some people don't even care about a belt. I've got a guy, we were talking about, like, if there's a guy doing something wrong and he refuses to kind of fix it, it's not hurting nobody and he's happy, and he's only here for the camaraderie anyway, what am I really worried about? I mean, obviously I want you to do it right, I want you to get better, but if their desire is just to lose weight and it's not really about that, then it's like, if that's how you're going to use jiu-jitsu, I'm not going to knock it for you, because that's, you know what I mean? You might not agree that I use it as, a way to meditate or to soothe my ego or something like that. That's not the way you do it. We can have all our different. So yeah, letting go with my reasons for training and opposed to others is.
That's beautiful. So let's switch gears here, away from jiu-jitsu for a second. You've kind of away from jiu-jitsu, but you've been to numerous different islands, right? And for the most part, been accepted by the island people, right? What do you think that is? What do you think you're bringing outside of jiu-jitsu to these?
I think like with, Guam, I was introducing training of jiu-jitsu that they were not exposed to. And so just taking the time to build up not only, with the gym I was at, but also helping with the tournaments and getting other stuff to, to help build up, raise the level of everybody. And then
Guam has good jiu-jitsu.
Guam has very good jiu-jitsu. And then same with Tahiti, same with here. It was not, I think too, I never went to any of these places with personal gain, as there was nothing I was looking to there was no monetary value or anything. It was just, I love jiu-jitsu, I love to teach, I loved the mentality, and I think for me it was, once I started coming to the islands, learning a new mentality, it's like, oh, this is the way I want to live, I like this. And so I knew when I would move to Guam that I would live on an island. I wasn't sure which one, but I knew I was going to live on an island. And because I'd gone to Guam, I'd gone to Saipan, I've gone to Japan on the bottom, Shikoku, I'd gone to Tahiti for quite a few years, made a black belt there, and then even here, Kauai, Maui, I feel like there's coming with nothing, not expecting anything was the big, was more of a payoff, because now it's allowed me to survive and have a way of life, and but it was just more do good and good will come to you.
And you're working on some other projects, right?
I got my Good Guy Gang coming. I'm still working on that. The Good Guy Gang is so I've been in Hawaii since 2010, and I used to live over by the bike path at Sharks Cove right here on the North Shore, and usually the bike path, especially in the evening, would attract some unsavories. And so I had a neighbor one time, and she was running and getting stalked by someone, and so she ran to my house. And it wasn't the fact that she ran to my house, it was more the fact that she had a place that she could run to where she felt safe and hey, and she needed help. And because of just jiu-jitsu, I feel like it doesn't matter if I'm actually capable of defending myself or others or not. I've put myself in a position to where people think that. And so, you know what I mean? Regardless, yeah. We have the church next door, the classes from upstairs. When there's some homeless or somebody who's just causing issues, no one's calling the police. The police will take too long. They'll be here 45 minutes later. And so they'll come to our door, ask for help, or, hey, you mind talking? You're getting these. And so it's we're always the first ones that are gone to. And it's so with starting my Good Guy Gang is I don't want to make it you're vigilantes going after people. I want it to be everything from you see someone who needs help crossing the street, just be that guy, be the good guy in the neighborhood. I haven't gotten everything. I'm still, getting some of the stuff in as I do it, but it won't be a thing too where it's just advertised or the t-shirt sold because someone bought, the store selling it. You get it, you're gonna get, a member number, I would like to know that you're really trying to, you're not wearing it because it looks cool. You're wearing it because it's the meaning behind it. And so the good guy gang, it says, here to serve on it. And so everything from, I would say, I don't want to say like in any kind of negative aspect, but I feel like a big problem is everyone's afraid of the consequences. And I feel like, let's say, my wife, someone's messing with her out there, and the consequence in the immediate is that she's going to get hurt. If I step in, the consequence is what? I might get arrested. But like obviously, the other person wasn't thinking that. I don't care if it's like I'm going to help her or I'm going to help someone else, and my consequence is that I know I'm going to get in trouble. Well, you know what? I understood that consequence before I stepped in, and I understand that but it's like I don't want people to take unnecessary like risks. But if you're a little bit of a bitch, don't wear the shirt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to unnecessarily put yourself in danger, but you're not going to sit back and just let shit happen either. Like that's the whole reason shit's as bad as it is. Nobody wants, obviously you're afraid of getting hurt, but they're also afraid of getting in trouble. Oh, I want to, you know what? I'm not gonna do anything out of line. That like let's say, someone's bothering and I go step in and you start filming me. That doesn't change my behavior. You can film me doing the right thing. And now everyone else can make a judgment for themselves. I mean, and then granted, if I heard it, I forgot where it was, but it was, I want to say it might have been in Hagakure, where a guy got in trouble for helping his friends. But he, I want to say, he actually, they were all fighting and some of them died. And as far as the guys that were attacking, so now you're in trouble. You stepped in and you also killed people. And he's like, no, they attacked my friends thinking nothing would happen to them. I defended my friends knowing the consequences. So you don't tell me what I did wrong. You tell me what my punishment is. And wow. You know what I mean? And it was like, damn, dude, like really, you knew your consequence. You still acted. Now just don't tell me what I did. Tell me my sentence. And so for me, that was like, that's more of, I like that perspective of looking at it. Like, I'm going to act as reasonably as I feel so. And then any consequences I accept because I feel like I'm doing it. And if that gets me in trouble, that's more of a sign of our justice system, not a sign of, and it's like, and if, you see it anywhere, like if you do something great and you get put in jail, that's not saying that nobody fucks with you, they're proud of you in there. They're not like, they know who did what, they know why you're there. And it's like, granted anybody can get fucked with, but I feel like I'm not worried about the negative, like that kind of repercussion. So I don't want, again, it's getting way off in the deep end, but it's just, it gets so heavy because people are so quick to want to, I'm going to sue or I'm going to do this or you're going to get in trouble if you do this. And it's like, well,
Still going to do the right thing.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not putting my nose in nobody's business that I don't belong into, but it's like, you don't get to be a bully, not in my neighborhood. Nobody has to feel unsafe. I was like, and it's like, if we're going to bully, man, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to bully you. I got a little bit of petty in me. And so, so that's the newest one. So it's something slow. I don't know exactly which way to take it, so I'm just slowly getting everything in. But that's my next adventure. But honestly, that kind of falls hand in hand with jiu-jitsu. It's not anything too different, but it was just something I would like to implement. I feel like you hear. I remember in Japan, I heard one time we were talking with the Yakuza guys. And you always hear such negative things. And granted, there's a bunch of negative things to be talked about. But when you talk to like some of the old school guys who are just like regular fucking dudes, and you're like, explain the Yakuza to me. He's like, well, basically, it's like, imagine like we live in this zone. This is our area. We all grew up here. And then so and so, doesn't matter if they're a foreigner or from another part of Japan. They come here and they do something, and the cops, slap on the wrist or just let them go. No, we'll handle our business. You know what I mean? It's like they're not relying on the police because the police won't, they're in that same boat. They're not going to do certain things. And so we take care of our own. And so it's like, oh, I can respect that. Now it doesn't seem so mobbish and so gangsterish. Granted, it gets brought to those places, but it's like, like when you meet and hang out with something, I feel like it's just like any profession. I'm sure you've hung out with jiu-jitsu guys who are just not the kind of people you want to hang out with. And then there's some, it's like you're the kind of man that makes you want to be a better man. So I can appreciate that wanting to have a sense of community and wanting to, it's like I don't want any problems with any of the police officers, but I told the one I'm going the right way. I called the cops. But when you took 45 minutes to get here and homeboy just got arrested with a knife earlier, I'm saying something. And understand the time it took you to get here, you forced me to put myself in danger now because I got kids here, dude. Yep. And so now I do have to go say something. And so I told the cop, I was like, man, I'm not saying anything, but I was like, if that ever happens again and I have to confront him, I'm going to win. And the cop just kind of laughed. And he's like, I get it, man. It's like, but it's like, and then they understand. And it's like, I'm not trying to like, like I said, be like some kind of like Batman, but it's just like, dude, is I'm sure everyone has to deal with something in some way. It's just our particular zone. There's no police here. The closest police one is like, what, 20 minutes that way or 30 minutes that way. And it's like, they're not getting here in time. We don't even have even a sub police station, like a little teeny Koban or anything.
And you should feel safe in your own neighborhood, in your own community.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you should
totally.
feel safe. You should be able to be able to walk around and be like, hey, I'm not going to get, followed or robbed or something.
Yeah. Or even we've had recent ones where, one of the students got attacked at her own house. And it's just like, people are like, they're visiting the house. And it's like, it's just shit can kind of go off anywhere. And, that granted, there's nothing we could have done in some of these situations, but we'd like to at least know that there's a safe group that you can come see.
Yeah. I feel like if you go back 20 years, like if you screamed, your neighbor would come check on you.
Yeah.
Now people are just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Close the window, turn
Not
off the
getting
light.
involved. That ain't my problem.
Yeah, like I love my neighborhood because I know all my neighbors. If something happens, they'll check up on you right away. It's like, hey, you okay? Oh, we're good. But
Yeah, no.
that is
What it should be.
going away.
Yeah. Well, it's also, it's like, look at the place we live. There's so many, it's so expensive. You don't have nobody has any control over who buys what. So your neighbors could be anybody in any,
Yeah.
And depending on where you go, you can, even in the nicer spots, you can get some shitty neighbors.
I do get a lot of questions, a lot of from kids actually. They think you live in a treehouse.
Let's talk about your house. Your house is
It
so
is a
cool.
tree
You're
house.
like a Renaissance man. You do jiu-jitsu. You can cook in
That was my
level,
thought. It was supposed to
and
be
then
the
you build a
Ewok
house.
treehouse when I was building.
I want to hear about this house. It's great.
I think since 2014, I had talked with some friends. Our plan was to get property together and to go off the grid.
Okay.
And I remember we started at 2014, and I remember standing on the property that we're looking at, and I just remember being like, what do you do now? Like I had no idea where to begin. Like I was just kind of kicking rocks around. Like I don't even know what to do. I didn't know what would be the beginning. I had no thought. And I just remember standing out there for a couple days, clearing the land. And like, I don't understand. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I was just so lost. I didn't have anywhere to begin. And so then I ended up moving around, still traveling. And then when I came back and after traveling the mainland for a bit, came back and started teaching again. Got the opportunity to work on another piece of land, and then this one would be by myself. But talked to my stepdad, and we kind of went back and forth on. He's like, I have no idea what I'm doing, so he's like, well, draw a picture. You draw the picture, and I'll tell you what you can kind of do. And so we did that. Then we went back and forth on design, and then he. I would say, and as we did that, he had me go to like Lowe's and Home Depot and film what stuff they had.
You have, yeah, that
and
matters.
so then he went and like, all right, well, with what materials you have available, here's what we can do. And so he showed me everything that here's how far you put the poles apart, here's how much concrete you put, here's the angles you use these measurements to make this square, and just basically showed me how to build a house through FaceTime.
Oh my gosh.
He'd make videos. He even built a small model of the house on the mountain. He didn't let me share those videos, but because he's like, no, these are just for you. But it was like a small model all the way up to where to how to put the wood and how to do the studs. And then he put together like a receptacle outlet, showed me how to do the wiring. Here's how you do a light. Here's how you do the outlets. Here's how you keep it on a loop. Here's how you do this. And so I had something, and he did all the research for like the off the grid part. Like, oh, here's how you make a flush system for your rain catch. And I remember at one point I was filming myself. I was just talking to him, and he's like, "Wait, show me behind you." And I show him, and he's like, "Is that in? Is that like permanent right now?" I'm like, "No, I just stuck it on there." He's like, "Take it down. That is not right." And I was like, "Oh shit! I'm glad I FaceTimed you," because he was like, "No, wrong size pipe, everything." So it was pretty cool. So we went through it, and then. Now it's like become a new fun hobby, passion, and I would say it's still very simple at the moment, but I have big dreams. Not anything like job-wise, but just like I want to build a second house now that I own the land. I want to build a second house. Now I own it, yeah, and I wanna go like kind of big and artsy. You know what I mean? I want to spend real time on it. I was telling my friend, it's like, if like there's a post and it's just like a wooden post and that's just what it is. I was like, that's what I do now. I was like, but in like for the next one, if there's a post, I want to like, carve into it, or make it, everything has got some art to it. There's nothing was just plain. So it's like I really want to spend some time on the next one, but right now just practicing building
cool.
little bits of structures. But it's on telephone poles. That's why it's like one side of the house is like over 10 feet off the ground, and the other side is sitting right on the hill.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, imagine getting texts, right?
Anyone
you
helped
telephone poles?
I forgot. Yeah, Gary had to help me carry some stuff.
Just drive down the road.
Well, there was some on the side of the road. That was pretty. There was actually telephone poles like that. And to be honest, the old school telephone poles that are already tarred and treated are very hard to find. And I just got lucky in scoring them.
Just got a couple good ones.
I had like two like big ones, and then a bunch of small pieces this lady just happened to be getting rid of, and really scored. And because people were charging as much as $500 for a 30-foot telephone pole, and it's like they knew it because ain't nobody got them. And so I luckily didn't have to spend. The lady wasn't gonna sell these big ones because she's like, you can't chop them up on my yard, and I couldn't transport 30-foot telephone poles. But then when she cleared more of her land, she found pieces, and she's like, oh, you wanted pieces? Get them out of my yard. They're yours. Nice. And she gave it to me she's like, just give me like $10 a piece. Wow. So I got all the massive, like I'm talking, one of them was like an 18-inch telephone pole. It was massive, like it was a beast of a pole. So I have these massive telephone poles all holding up the house.
That's cool. And you're completely off the grid, cashmate, solar panels,
solar panels, generator, Starlink, heated toilet seats, Oculus.
That is, I kind of see this place.
Yeah, and then,
how big is the land? How much land did you get?
We have a half acre.
Oh, perfect.
Size.
Yeah.
You grow some crops on the land too?
Just fruit trees right now. I was growing, and it's just too much work. With trying to build still and running the gym, teaching classes, watering a whole bunch of plants all day is not. So we keep track with the fruit trees, but that's about it. We've got 2 mango, avocado, lychee, and then some ornamental things like I've got a Samoan coconut that's still growing, still kind of getting big. And
the small
got
one,
some plumerias. It's kind of big now.
Oh, really?
It's big. It just doesn't give us a coconut yet. Keeps trying to get blown over every time the storms come. And then, but yeah, no, we got it. We've barely even utilized the land. I would say off of like if you were to say, if this is a half acre stretched out in that strip we have, we've only used this much.
Really?
There's so much land left because it goes down, and I just need to get it cleared before I can really. It's too much land for me to work by myself with a weed whacker, so I need to have it cleared. And then once it's cleared and leveled out some, then I'm gonna start building, getting nuts.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I want to see this house. I've always heard about it.
It's a good time. Yeah, it's always like in a work in progress, but it's a good time.
You've been to this house?
I have, yes.
Since it's been a while, yeah.
When Gerson and them were here, so that would have been 2020 or 2021.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't even where it's at now. We were up there for 2 years without a kitchen because I couldn't finish building because of COVID, and then we had a kitchen. 2 years later. Yeah. Now we're styling. But yeah, that was
living in luxury.
Yeah. It looked cool when you're on Instagram, like cooking on the lanai, and it's like, that shit. After 2 weeks, fuck that.
That is cool. That is really cool.
Cool. One thing I did want to bring up was, so you've been my sensei since 2014, right? I started February 2014. I've made just about every single jiu-jitsu mistake you can make, right? Whether it's technical, whether it's some formality, whether it's some protocol. I've done everything wrong, every single thing, except wear my shoes on the mat and go in the bathroom bare feet. Those are the two, right, that you go to hell for. But yeah, I made all those mistakes. Coach has gotten mad at me before.
He deserved it.
Yeah. but I never felt like I wasn't welcome here, right? I felt like, okay, my mistake was pointed out, and this is just, I got to correct it. And it was never like, there was never any grudge. It was never like drawn out over weeks or days or whatever. It was just, this is what happened. Okay, boom, let's fix it, and then let's move past it, right? I've had some dumb ideas. Like, I was a blue belt. We were at a tournament. I was like,
pulled them out.
Yeah, I've done that.
That's not a good technique?
No, he pulled them on mount.
Yeah. And I was like going against this guy. I already faced him once, and I was super tired. It was like my 5th match of the day. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it to this match, coach. I gotta do. I want to go for a flying armbar. And instead of telling me, no, that's not a good idea, he was like, oh, this is how you do it. And so literally like 3 minutes before my match, she's grabbing on to one of the other students and jumping upside down, showing me how to do a arm bar. So, you know, for all those people out there, you know, that are struggling in jiu-jitsu maybe, or maybe they feel like their coach got mad at them. And it's certainly a dynamic thing, right? It's coach and student relationship. You know, what advice you got for those students and those coaches out there?
I think the biggest one that's helped me, and when I say stop caring, it's not about you. It's stop caring how much I care about what you're doing. Like there will be a moment, like especially with the kids, and especially when the parents watching. Man, their kids, I'm trying to get you to shrimp, and you keep going the wrong way. And it's because I care. I want you to get it. But then I'll tell the other instructors, like, after you talk to them 2 or 3 times, stop. Are they having fun? Are they somewhat in the general area, at least on their side? Then let them go. They will figure it out. So in essence, stop caring so much. They will work it out. But if you keep on them, they're going to start like feeling picked on. And then now there's even less reason to want to talk to you. There's even less reason to want to stay. They're going to less want to try things. It's like you'll further put them inside that shell by like being on them. So I found letting people just kind of, because nobody wants to do it wrong, not even the little kids. And so it's just a matter of like, you just got to find, I feel the biggest thing is communication. I think that's with anything. You know, don't forget their age, depending on who you're talking to. You know, Gary, like I've done plenty of my share of things, and I've had some people who've responded with my mistakes where they just wrote me off completely, and I've had some people who've taken the time, like I would say as a friend, to be like, hey, listen, man, it's not smart. Don't do that. And it's like, I can appreciate those moments because you cared about me enough, or the situation enough at least, to give me a heads up and let me know what's going on. And so for the people who have done that, and for the people who I would say had, you know, just, they're fuck it, they're done with you. They just don't even want anything to do with you. So keeping that in mind, it made me look at the situations within my own gym different. So then anytime we've had, I would say, you know, someone get upset with another student, it's like, well, I feel like now through enough experience, like, you know, just like Gary, through making my own mistakes, I can sit back and say now, well, listen, let's, first of all, like I'll give you a good example. We had a guy came in, he was a wrestler, and a little bit aggressive, and he kept doing something where I don't know if he was like, it was like a little bit of a headbutt. It was just a little something that was pissing one of the blue belts off. And after the second or third time, the blue belt just fucking snapped at him. And in the middle of class. And then so everybody's like, oh, like it's kind of weird in here. And it's like, all right, what's going on? All right, he does this. Did you ever tell him that he was doing that before just now? And he was like, no. So what the fuck are you yelling at him for now? He never knew he was doing anything wrong. He's brand new, dude. Like, not saying what he's doing is right, but you never pulled him aside. Like, listen, hey man, you're doing fine, but don't.
That's not okay.
Don't headbutt. You know, but it's just like you just waited till it became. And I feel like a lot of people do that. They'll wait till it builds up, till it's like, ah! And now you let me know whenever you're fucking super pissed. Like we could have had a regular conversation, but it's like I feel like you nip those things in the butt. And so, you know, I feel like too, when people make mistakes, you get a general feeling of how they respond. If like you can tell when there's remorse, you can tell when they want to do better. You can tell. I mean, and some people, it's like, you know, we would have like, you know, you say we have a welcoming, and I've had guys I've had to pull aside like nobody and other people, and it's not always ended nicely. Gary recognized any issues. Like I've never like I said, it never became more than one conversation or anything. But I've had other guys who will take that one conversation and it just ended everything. They left the gym, and it's like I don't think I said anything that like, you know what I mean? Like however you took it was real weird because we left on a handshake or, you know what I mean? It was like, I thought it was really clear when we were talking, but then some people just, you know what I mean? It takes two. It takes the student, and so I feel with our gym, if you're not of like just a regular nice person with normal thoughts, you just don't fit in. You will leave, and you will leave on your own. Like, I don't need to. Well, it's just I don't need to tell you to leave. I don't have to correct you because you're not even going to stay in here. And so we don't have an environment that really lets anyone have that kind of attitude. Or if they do, they kind of nip it on they nip it quick by themselves. It's like they didn't need to because nobody else is acting that way. And so, we get like even the visitor today was just very, really enjoyed the vibe within the gym. And it's like, that is something that we do practice and it's cultivated. It's like we work hard to make sure that's the attitude of everyone. And I think it starts with me. I think if I wasn't so silly and just had not that everyone wouldn't be nice, but I definitely keep the mood very light. You know what I mean? I never let it get too serious in here, and we don't. There's no. It's all good times for the whole time.
I think like you guys have always been welcoming towards me. It's always been really good vibes, but it starts from the top down. Like if the head instructors are cool and they're telling people, hey, be friendly and be nice and be a good person, like it filters down to everybody else.
It filters down, and I feel it goes up as well. Like, you know what I mean? It's like get the white, making sure the white belts understand, hey, when new white belts come, your job to help them out. Just like the blue belts are helping you. So granted, it goes from the top down, but it's also bottom up. It's, it's everybody's got to be on the same page. So that's really that's the thing, and we have that, and it's a great, we have a great environment, and then it just flowed right over with Gary's guys. Like it's not like all of his guys, the energy still feels the same when they're here. There's no difference, and so you go some places, or if somebody comes in, you can tell like
sometimes
you're a little weird. You're get over here and hug me.
Get over here. Yeah, if you walk in and the vibe doesn't match your personality, sometimes you're like, maybe not.
Yeah, no, totally.
And sometimes it might be better for them to leave, right? Maybe go find a.
I tell people, even my gym, if you come here, it's like, don't be afraid to try other gyms out. You know what I mean? If you come back, it's because we were the one for you. I was like, but sometimes it's like the camaraderie might be what keeps you, my teaching might be what keeps you, but that ain't what you needed. You know what I mean? It could have been, you might. That gym it might have the group of guys that you need, that you can really come up with, or whatever it is, or whatever the feeling is. Make sure you try everywhere now.
Yeah, we actually talked about that on one of our other podcasts about cross training, right? And you told me, go train wherever you want. Yeah, like just remember you compete for us, and I'm the one that belts you, and it was pretty.
No, we can say and it's like for him, it's like I wasn't worried about you going anywhere else. Just don't forget that there's the reason, partly is, especially before black belt, is because when you're in my black belt, I would like you to be in, like, you have my systems in place. Yeah. You make whatever other fucking game you want. That's all you. But that we have to have the same things on certain key points. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just I don't want to put you in a position where you're questioned, vice versa. I'm questioned, because I have had that happen. They're like, that guy was your black belt? I'm like, yeah, shut up. You caught him on a bad day. Leave him alone.
Do you do that? Do you inherit parts of your professor's game?
When I trained under like I don't really train under anybody.
Right, okay.
I have a weird story. But when I was training under somebody consistently, I try to take all the best parts of the game, and then anything that they say, like, hey, this is important, I want you to learn that. So there's definitely parts where I can be like, I do this because of this person, I do this because of that person.
Right.
But my last, 7 to 8 years have just been completely random here and there, like just because of
that's what took you so
where
long.
I live. Yeah. But that's not terrible. But yeah, I think like you said, it's your system, and you speak your language of jiu-jitsu, and he has to at least have, your black belts have to have that knowledge. They can,
develop your own game and all that, but the things that we need to line up on are the things that neither one of us can change.
Yeah.
These are ground rules, these are basics, hard basics. Like, I don't care if you do berimbolo, but you have to understand this, and this is, like, these things we can't deviate from. What you do outside of that is your own personal game.
Yeah.
That's why I don't the Unstoppable's not in our curriculum. I don't teach that as a regular move. That's totally something I do, and I'll share it, but it has nothing to do with you being a black belt. If you want to be good at it, you can, but it doesn't. That's not what makes me or you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Weapon of choice.
Do you have a set criteria for your black belts, or is it just Like you feel.
It's on that list in the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, in that glass cabinet.
I'll go look at it.
It's the same list for blue belt, purple belt, brown belt.
Is it say be a good person?
Pardon?
I feel like it would be like.
No, it's techniques.
Okay.
No, yeah. Oh, I mean, if you're not a good person, you wouldn't be here anyway.
True.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know what I mean? There's no assholes really allowed, unless you're a sweet one.
I think the vibe from you, like just being a good person.
Yeah, you can be rough around the edges as long as you're nice. Yeah, but no, that's the list. That list it's like as a white belt, you're trying to figure out what that list is. As a blue belt, you're just trying to even be able to perform the list. As a purple belt, now that you can do some of it, like, how much can you do? Brown belt, now that you're proficient at it, you're even able to share it. Black belt, you should understand that whole list and be able to share it. And then that's just the foundation. And then whatever else is up to you.
Being able to convey to somebody else, communicate to someone else, like, this is how you do the move, this is how you do the thing.
And like the list doesn't have a specific. It says you must be able to do an armbar from the guard with the gi and without the gi. I don't care what fucking technique you use, but you got to be able to use the gi and not use the gi to get the same technique. And I have 5 setups for a takedown. I don't care what 5 you do. You can learn these 5 from a wrestling class if you want, as long as you have 5 setups.
Got to be able to put them on the ground.
No, not the takedown, the setups.
Okay.
It's just the setups, the head tap, lowering your level, the feinting, just having and then takedowns. You gotta know how to do a single leg. You gotta know how to do a double leg. Those are some basic ones.
Right.
But really, just have 2 takedowns.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't care what 2 they are.
Yep.
Just have 2 on deck that you kind of go back to.
Yeah.
And so it's like those things are like the core fundamentals of the my game or of our system. But what you put in place is totally. You're
open to interpretation.
Yeah. Whatever makes you happy.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Anything else you want to leave us with?
No, I think there's.
We're gonna give you the last word here because we're gonna be doing plenty of talking.
What would be a last word? Some parting words of wisdom.
Thank yous, words of wisdom.
Yeah, the thank yous, the shout outs.
Thank you guys.
Where do we find you on socials?
You can come to North Shore. Come to our gym in Haleiwa town here, behind the post office. We have classes Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Visitors are welcome. And let's see, if I had some words for anything, make sure, I would say when you come into class, regardless of any reason why you're there to train, I think there should always be a little bit of a goal in mind. And it doesn't have to be a goal per se, like to hit certain moves. It might just be to hit a certain amount of rounds just so you can lose some weight. Like I always try to make sure I do at least 5 rounds. But I come in and if like it's, if there is a technique, can you at least get to the position, or can you at least get out of that position and just slow, like I make myself start on bottom so I can work my way on top and then I'll have fun. But I got to work my way out first. And so giving little goals and little things just to help push yourself. Nothing's wrong with coming in, especially if that's just what you need, is that just how you get on the mat and that's totally fine. But I just don't want, if you're coming in every time and that's what you need for the mat, there's other things going on in life that you need to focus on as well to help alleviate that. But I want you to be able to come in. I don't care how goals, how fast you want to be a black belt. If you want a black belt, that doesn't matter. But just try to make yourself improve a little bit each day, and it could be in any direction, whatever it might be. It might even be with just a focus. I don't want to get pissed off in the room. I want to get pissed off. You know what I mean? Because there's people who do that. They just can't keep their cool, and it's like, and that shit will spread. If you're being a little bit aggressive because you're upset, you're gonna accidentally elbow me. Now I get a little bit aggressive, and that shit just starts spreading. And so I hate when I get infected with it, because then I'm like, where's my mind going right now? You know what I mean? You gotta have that talk with yourself. So as long as I feel like everyone's, you've had that little goal, life in general will be good, overall.
Yes, sir.
But thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thank you very much. We'll get you guys on the next one.